The elderly lady shuffled the few remaining steps to the park bench and sat down, happy to catch her breath and rest for a moment. The autumn sunshine was warm, but the nip in the air made her glad of her warm coat. She placed her handbag neatly on her knee. "Good morning," said the silver-haired gentleman at the other end of the bench. "Beautiful day." Elsie smiled. "Yes, it is. Cold, but lovely." The man folded his newspaper and returned the smile. "I'm George." "Hello, George." "I'm Elsie." She rearranged her scarf, her gnarled fingers struggling in the cold. They sat for a few moments quietly, looking over the city. "I've always loved this view." "Pardon?" "The view," George repeated. "I've been coming here since I was a boy. I used to watch the trains." Elsie looked to where George was pointing, down the hill towards the city. "I like the steam trains. Do you see?" He added, "Yes, I can see. No more steam trains now, though, I'm afraid." "It was different then." George nodded. "It was. I'd travel the country. My folks had no idea where I was half the time. It wasn't like it is today." He paused. "Do you have children?" "Yes, 2. And grandchildren now." "Then you're blessed. What are their names?" George turned to look at Elsie, noticing her careworn face, the long, white plate that rested over her shoulder. "Timothy is the eldest. He has 2 little ones of his own now," Elsie said proudly. "Well, not so little now. They've grown and gone too. I don't get to see them as much as I'd like. I've always liked the name Timothy." Elsie smiled. "And then there's Ellen. She got married finally last year. She's nearly 60. She finally took the plunge." "Well, that's lovely." "It is. It was. She looked beautiful." George sat back. "I always wanted children." Another few moments passed by quietly. Elsie looked over. "You can read your newspaper, George." "I don't mind." No. It's okay. I don't often get chance to chat. Especially with a beautiful woman," he said with a wink. Elsie chuckled. "Charmer. I bet you broke some hearts." "I don't know about that. Did you grow up around here then?" "Yes," replied George. "Not far. And I went to school here, too." Called her something." He shook his head. "I forget. Age does that to us, doesn't it?" Elsie asked softly. George shrugged. "I guess it does." She sighed. "It takes away the most precious things. Our bodies, our minds, our memories." They fell into quiet again, both looking at the city sprawled out before them, lost in their own thoughts. "May I ask you something, George?" He turned to look at her again. "Of course. Have you ever married?" George shook his head. "No, I never married. There was a girl I knew once. I forget her name." "Have you?" "Yes. I was lucky enough to marry my best friend. The love of my life." "Well, that's wonderful." "Yes, it was wonderful. I've lost him now. And it's lonely. Terribly, terribly lonely." Elsie looked down at her lap. George reached over and took her hand tenderly. "I'm very sorry for your loss." "How long ago?" "Around 5 years ago. Nothing has been the same since." Tears filled her once bright blue eyes. They were cloudy now. Age and sorrow had faded their beauty. George frowned. "That's such a shame. Do you have anyone close?" Elsie shook her head. "They have their own lives. Timothy is in Chester, Ellen in Manchester. And I feel like all I do is cross names out of my address book." She paused. "All of my friends. They're all gone." George reached into his pocket for his handkerchief and offered it to her. "There now. It's okay." Elsie managed a small smile. "Thank you." She wiped her eyes. "It's silly. You must think I'm an old fool, sitting on a bench, crying." "Not at all. Well, I feel like an old fool. I should be glad of what I have. I'm still here. My children are happy and healthy." "You were right. I have been blessed." George looked puzzled. "What?" "A minute ago, you said I was blessed. For having my children." "Oh, that's right." He shook his head. "I'm more forgetful the older I get." Elsie tried to pass the handkerchief back, but George refused. "Keep it, I have plenty." "Okay, I will. Thank you." She opened her handbag and tucked the handkerchief inside. She snapped it shut again. "It's a funny old life, George, don't you think?" He tilted his head, not understanding. "In what way?" "I just can't believe I'm here. At the end of my life. And what do I really have to show for it?" George didn't reply. "I don't feel any different than I did 10 years ago. 20 years ago, even. And now when I look in the mirror, an old woman looks back." She sighed. "It all feels so pointless." George cleared his throat. "I don't know how to help you with that one, I'm afraid," he said, a little uncomfortably. "I know, George. I don't expect answers. I just wanted to say it out loud." Quiet fell again. I used to take the trains, all around the country. Yes, you said. George laughed. I did. Elsie smiled indulgently. Yes, and your parents didn't know. Not a clue. Not like today. No, George. It isn't like today at all. George turned to look at her. Do you know, you seem really familiar. Have we met before? Elsie sighed. Yes, we have met. George frowned. And it's time we went home. This cold is getting right to my bones. George continued to frown. Come on. I've got a casserole in the oven. And then it's time for the racing. You like the racing? She stood stiffly, then held her hand out. She smiled encouragingly. Come on, George. Home time. George stood, still frowning. Home. Yes, sweetheart. Home. And we can ring Tim later and see him on the screen. Remember? George nodded slightly and stood. Don't forget your paper. The elderly couple walked away from the park bench, where they had sat every Sunday morning for the past 50 years, hand in hand, back to the house where they had raised their children. Empty now, thought Elsie as she led her husband back through the park. Entirely empty.